They say a name expresses the thing that it stands for, but I wonder if it is another way around. The thing becomes more and more like its name. No one represented a sniper rifle better than Eric Rona.
It's honestly like a 6-month-long dream that like I haven't woken out of, and I hope I'm not going to, but this is unreal. Like, I just can't really explain the feeling. It's just my first year. I don't even know.
His story is unlike most, and I think he's really one of the only examples of overnight success.
Who knows? I didn't plan on being here. Talking about retirement. Such a strange concept. It's been a roller coaster. Been here since the beginning. Seen the ups, the downs, full circle. It's been a long journey, but I'm happy. I'm happy with how it's gone. I'm happy with who I've become through Halo, through the people I've met. A lot of people to thank. And, you know, at the end of the day, I'm going on a note that I will look back and be proud of. Halo to me is kind of the beginning of who I am, in a sense. I really, you know, I started playing Halo in 2001, 2002 at Halo 1, just getting called over to one of my best friend's basements, and, you know, it was like the cool kids game at the time. So it was, you know, my buddies, I did really well first time I played the game, just kind of like the natural. That was my very first gamer tag. They kind of just like deemed me the natural, and they kind of forced my parents to get me an Xbox. And then I just started getting invited over to multiple different friends' houses, just these big LAN parties, 16 people in 4 different rooms, just cords everywhere. And the moms, like my second mother is what I used to call her, just ordering pizzas and having big pool parties in the back. And it was just, it was an awesome experience to look back on. And I went to my very first tournament, Meadowlands 2008. I just remember there was this big hype around me going to the tournament. I was supposed to go to a tournament in 2007. My ride didn't show up, so everyone thought I was this big like phony of just like an online warrior, never gonna show up to an event. And I remember walking in and signing up at the registration right outside the big doors that led into the venue, and you could just hear all the noise coming in from the venue. And I remember walking in, and there's this big Greg, was his name, Talent, and he's just, first thing he says to me is just, he's like, "Who are you?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm Sniped." He's like, "Wow, you are not as nerdy as I expected you to be." And I was just like, that was just such like a heartwarming opening into like, here I am, because it's just this huge screens and darkness. You have like Stride Gum and Old Spice and all this stuff that was just at the venue. And it was just overwhelming, obviously. It was my first tournament ever. I didn't know what to expect. I'd seen it all online on MLG.com. And it was just like, it was a fun opening, and it just kind of set the tone for the week. And I was like, kind of right away, I just kind of felt more at peace, like I was meant to be there. If I had to describe my Halo career in 3 words, it would be fulfilling, passionate, and slightly alienating. I had, you know, I was on 4 different teams my first 4 events. I found a home in Straight Rippin' for like a good 2.5 years. After that, it really went downhill. I didn't have a team I really vibed with or connected with. And it was just winning. I never took anything else into consideration. I was like kind of a selfish player at that point in time. And then, you know, I just was a floater in terms of teams. And then I finally got on a great roster with Evil Geniuses, with me, Roy, Lunchbox, Lethal / Pistola. And it was a really fun team. I really vibed with Roy, Lunch, Pistola, Lethal. We had a great relationship. We did a lot of stuff together. And then after that ended, I really kind of, you know, I became kind of a floater again, but like I didn't develop those in-depth personal relationships with my teammates really for the remainder of Halo. And so it kind of made it more difficult for me to love it as much. I still loved competing, still loved all of that just as much. I was so passionate for the win, but it was a different team dynamic at that point. And, you know, I had, so in 12, 13 years of competing in Halo, I had maybe like 4 years of like really close relationships, 5 years maybe. It kind of puts a different perspective on the whole team environment, really makes you think about how important the relationships are with your teammates. I experienced the most significant shift in my Halo experience, I'd say, during Halo Reach, because I didn't loved the game. I loved Halo 2, I loved Halo 3, and then Halo Reach came out, and I just didn't love the game. And it was the first Halo I've played that I didn't love. And so luckily I had college to focus on and distract myself, because I would have been lost. I wasn't playing sports at the high level anymore. I played casually tennis and stuff like that, but it was just that love was slowly deterring, and it made me question if this was something I could continue doing, because I knew the game was going to be a long time. And then Halo 4 came out, and it was kind of a similar instance. And I've been through every Halo. I've been, like I said, the ups and the downs, but I think that was definitely the most down I had been. After college, I loved esports. I loved the industry. I didn't expect to be able to continue competing. I was thinking maybe go to Call of Duty. I tried going to Call of Duty. I did well. I just didn't love the game. And I know the game was on the rise. I just couldn't fall in love with Call of Duty. So the passion wasn't there to make me as motivated. And I was still just focused on college. And my dad wanted me to maybe come take over part of his logistics company. And he kept asking me, when are you going to get a job? When are you going to do this and that? And I never had a good answer to that. And I had never truly felt as passionate about anything other than competing and gaming. And so I knew that regardless of whether I was going to continue competing or not, it was going to be here in this industry, because I love it here. I don't think people are going to be very surprised by this answer when I say that my favorite roster is definitely the straight ripping iteration in 2008, 2009. It was just day one, just brought me in like I was family. And it was just, there was no hesitation. It was like, we want you. They asked me twice. I actually turned them down the first time they asked me. And then some stuff happened, and I was like, on my Triggers Down roster, which was a great team, and I just didn't vibe with them as well. And I just right away, I saw how they were with Neighbor. And I was like, I want that. That is perfect on top of competing and loving the game, is just loving your team. It's a relationship. You have to build relationships, and getting that right away with them. I remember it was like day 2 after they asked me to join the team. T-Squared's like, hey, come out to Syracuse. We'll stay at my apartment. We'll game together. We'll do this. And as I'm leaving, he's like, here, do you want to take this monitor? It was like a ViewSonic monitor, I think it was, back when those were the first monitors we played on an MLG. And it was just like doing activities, just going to amusement parks with him. I remember playing ring toss and taking the little slingshot up and down. And it was just like, these are such fond core memories I have of the beginning of it all that made me fall in love with what could be. I realized esports was getting massive when I showed up to an MLG tournament. Halo was no longer the middle screen at the stage at these big events, and they started adding more games. We had Gears of War and Call of Duty at the beginning. And I showed up to the tournament like, man, why is Halo not in the middle stage? Like, we have awesome crowds, we have this and that. And then I see the StarCraft community, and it's like 3 times the size. They are screaming over all these plays, and the casters are just unbelievably hype. I'm watching, I'm like, I have no idea what I'm witnessing. And I find out that this game is global. I was like, man, I am in my own little box over here playing Halo, watching this other game. Like, that's what I want. That's what I strive for and thrive for, and I hope we get to that point. Technology back when I was beginning at 16, it was a completely different experience. You're sending voice messages to other people talking trash, and you couldn't just tune into streams, and there was no streams to be watched. So you're really building a reputation for yourself based off of only ranked play. And that's it. No real interaction. No, here, let me watch you play. Like, there was no uploading of your videos, and it's a completely different environment. Even getting recognized in today's esports world is a lot different than it was back then. So I think back in the day, it was a lot harder to get recognized. But once you were, it was like, okay, this is the guy. Esports back in, when I first started, it wasn't developed. It was, you're going as a hobby. It was a hobby to want to be the best and just show up to these tournaments, and that's what got me to start competing in the first place, was people telling me I couldn't do it or I couldn't be great. And tournament first place was $20,000, and you're practicing for 2.5, 3 months to go to this one tournament and to get first place for $5,000 each. And you look at today's prize pools, and that's like not sustainable. But back in 2008, 2010, you make $5,000 and you're like, yes, I'm rich. And it was just like, it was for, and it still is to me, the win. It's for the win. And I've told myself I'd never keep competing just for the money. It's great and all, but if you aren't fully in it for the thrill of winning, then I feel like you're in it for the wrong reasons. Competition definitely fueled me the most. I've played sports my whole life growing up. I loved every second I played soccer, basketball, tennis, baseball, football. You know, I learned which ones I liked, which ones I didn't. And breaking my arm when I played football actually was kind of what got me headfirst into video games. I was really upset that I was not able to play sports. I was a starting wide receiver on my team. And second game, just break my arm. I can't play the rest of the season. And I was like, well, I just kind of like secluded myself in my basement and my cast on, just like playing video games nonstop. And that's really what propelled me into becoming a great player. And that was right at the beginning of Halo 2. And so Halo 2 is just the greatest online experience that I've had as a gamer. I think I look back and I think that to this day is still the most fun I've had playing any video game. What will I miss the most? There's so many things. It's strange, but I feel like I'm exiting my childhood. So I feel like it's like childhood. It's just this step of what's next. And there's no like latching on. Like here it was. It's like, all right, where are we headed? Well, you know what they say. When one door closes,